Okay, so eventually I'm going to uh, put everything on a breadboard, and then I will design a pretty nice case to be 3D printed. Decals and all, proper placement of everything, good ergonomic feel and all that. The display itself, let me pull this off here because it's kind of very pretty, will have, let's see, I'm going to have perhaps a diffusing layer of some type of plastic on there that's meant for kind of diffusing. I don't know if I'll separate it into a grid or not. Then I'm going to use these very cool looking hobby acrylic jewel pieces here. They have silver backs on them, and I found that I can just sand them off, and the light pretty much shines through them really cool. Problem is that these are 12 millimeters and I need 9.5, so I have to grind down each of the four sides. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that. I would like them to look very compact and stacked together. If worst comes to worst, I do have some smaller ones here that will probably work better, so I may experiment with those. It depends. Probably going to have another, let's see, maybe another, I'm definitely going to have this type of material on top, and maybe another diffusing layer, and like a sheet of acrylic on top of that. So really what you should see are just the light castings of the jewels coming through, and so maybe these smaller ones will kind of throw a pattern that will show up pretty well. So it'll have kind of a very interesting retro kind of physical effect there, you know. So yes, I could have used LCDs, but this is just way cooler. I mean, they're very bright and very vivid, and the video here just does not show how bright these things are. And by the way, these addressable LEDs are set to a pretty low level of light here, down to the point to where they start to have problems dithering the color. When you have them on full brightness, they can pretty much next best thing to trying to burn out your retina with any product than these LEDs here. They're very bright, and they're bright enough to use them as lighting. So let me go ahead and put this back on here, and I will show you what took up about half of the programming space in the script. I needed the ability to tweak a lot of comfort features, especially since this was going inside of a case and it's going to be handheld. So for right now, if you press this top button here, you'll see you get a menu setting. So I'm not sure, some of these items should only be accessed by someone who knows how to work with it, because you can damage or worse. I'll explain that, but there are a few that you should be able to change on your own. I'm going to have kind of an override volume feature, instant rumble motor off and on controllers. There's a few things I could put in there. I will explain that my script takes up about 93% of what's available on a Nano, which is a little less than what's available on the regular Uno. And I've done as much as I could to use functions for repeating elements and to kind of streamline some things, but there's only so much you can do. So as you go through the menu items here, if you hit the left key, it goes back to the game, so I can go back in it here, and you can hit up and down to go through the menu here. So the first one here allows you to change the sound through the volume, and when you find something comfortable, once you exit, it will write it to the AVR chip's onboard EEPROM memory. So it doesn't matter what you do to it, it won't forget it unless you go in and wipe it. So I'm able to save the high scores and about anything I want to save, as far as basic data and settings and everything else. There's even enough in there to save the game screen if I wanted to yeah, pretty much to a degree. And then let's see. First you have sound, and I try to do a good job here with the characters because it is 7-segment display, but really these are kind of like not supposed to be easily accessible settings. So. There's your music. Huh, rumble motors. Off and on. So, because these can be a bit much. And I may find some smaller rumble motors like the kind you put in phones, so that shouldn't be a problem. But I think it's kind of neat when you land and when you lose and all that everything shakes. I think that'll be a nice surprise for anyone playing. Okay, so you have a brightness setting right here, which does kind of push the limits of your power supply, but you can see as you can see, you can adjust it and you can go very bright. So this is the brightness of the addressable LEDs, and I have 2 rows representing very bright, like the flashing jewels or other effects, and the not so the dimmer ones are actually the brightness of your regular gameplay. So I also have control over the 7-segment display here. Oops, yep, there we go. You're only supposed to have 16 settings. There's still some tweaks I have to do to it. Alright, so okay, here's something that's pretty cool. We'll go down and see this. I can change the number of jewels in play. You can make the game very easy, or you can go beyond, and I give you at least 2 more here. A magenta and kind of a sea green color. And I found that with those extra 2 it gets exponentially harder, by the way. So let's see. Okay, so this is a magic jewel setting. You can tell, you saw the magic jewel there. You can set which level you want it to appear on, or you can tell it not to appear at all as for difficulty. Then I have the numerical chance that the magic jewel will actually show up. And it, like for instance, it's set on 920 now, and I've got this going between 750 and 1,000. And that kind of equates to right now about maybe 18 and a 20% chance or whatever that it's not going to show up. So the higher the number, the least likely you'll ever see it. And it's funny though, you'll see them come in 3s sometimes or whatever, but if you set it real low, you get them all the time. It's kind of cheating. And if you set it up very high, you might see it every once in a while. But it'll only show up once per level too. Okay, now the speed up setting is kind of interesting here. This is the difficulty. As you play the game, you will get an increase in speed, and that's kind of a, let's see, that's a kind of an exponential slope where, you know, as you play the game, you'll notice right off quick that it's just getting faster and faster. And as you get up to a certain expertise level, it's not about how fast you can do it anymore, because there are limits to the Arduino and being able to physically play it, and it's more or less about strategy and skill in racking up the points. So that's how I decided that the gameplay, you know, for increasing your score would help. You know, once you figured it out, it's all about trying to beat the next person's score. Alright, so I have 2 modes which are not really accessible. This is test mode. This mode here will test, will operate the sound devices, the rumble motors, it'll fill up all the LEDs on the numerical display, and it will start off on the addressable LED matrix one by one, adding full brightness, which I believe is around 60 to 80 milliamps per device. Problem is that, well, it's not really a problem. It does kind of test where the limits are. After a while, either the power supply can't handle the limit, or the voltage will dip too low and cause the Arduino to reset, or other problems to happen, which I have so much going on here. It doesn't go up to the full height anymore. It's about 1/3, but you'll see. I'll do this for a little bit here. It may end up rebooting it. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. Man, you see, they just reset it. So, the last setting here is a clear high score setting, and I don't like to do that because someone worked hard on theirs, and you know, whatever. I may make that like a dip switch or something. And this one here, at least where I have it set up here, you have to press both left and right, which, okay. Go ahead and like this if you like it, and feel free to check out my tutorials online at K4ICY.com, and go ahead and email me and ask me about questions and all that. Whatever you have, I'll try to help out. Hope you guys enjoyed this look at this little creation here, and I'll show you more later. This is Mike, K4ICY 73.